We are live. Yay!
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Ace Knight, and of course, with me tonight is Techie Joe. How are you, darling?
I'm doing amazing. How are you this evening?
Halfway deadly.
Oh, well, there you go. That's
Yeah.
that's something.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry guys for the squelch. There we go. So now I can actually see comments as they come in.
Yay!
Yay! Because we haven't used this platform, and I don't know if the live comments will be any more live than the other services we've used.
Yeah, I know, and that's one of the things that we need to pay attention to is our comments and making sure that comments are actually working, and that we're going to be semi-live and being live all the time and trying to control things.
Yep.
FBI's actions again.
There we go. Yep.
You're just loving having that news article up, aren't you?
Oh, I'm about ready to kill some places. I'm telling you, I'm just going to kill them, run them over with a forklift.
Yeah.
But no, we've moved into another studio again. And this has kind of been a thing, is finding the right studio for us. Because, one, we've moved from voice to video. As a podcast. We began that work January 1 of this year. And then we got hit with the pandemic. And it was like, oh, geez. Whatever.
And the wonderful service that we picked, which was wonderful and we were doing great with, they've had a real tough time staying functional through this. As a lot of video services have. Like, this was not, this wasn't part, like, they wanted more customers. They really wanted more customers. They were all about getting some new customers. They were not, like in the case of Zoom, their 2019 client base was 1.19 million. And just in 2020, they've been adding 2-point-something million a month new users.
Right.
That's insane. Like, there's no company that's meant to scale like that. That takes a lot of planning.
Yes.
Yeah.
As fast as that, as quick as that. And we looked at them and said, what are you doing? Like, if you cannot service the current users you have, why are you taking on more?
Well, and I think a lot of that for companies is the belief that they'll get there.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, it may end up being the better service. It may end up being the one we go back to. It may be the one that we like the most. And it may be the most feature-rich, the most awesome. The only problem is right now, they don't really have the support there for this many users. It's starting to break.
Right.
And once they get there, it may be awesome again.
Yeah.
But this is a growing pain, and every company's gone through it. Even the new service that we're using is already warning that because of the amount of traffic that they're getting, that even they've encountered issues.
Right.
It's just our hope that maybe this service is a little more capable of responding.
Right. And they seem to be a little bit more pre-coded, ready to rock. They do offer a few different things that we were hoping to get out of the other service, but wasn't able to. And they're on top of it. Like, they're not throwing this, well, what system are you running? And did they all have updated Chrome? What?
Like, how could we know?
Yeah. Does Facebook update its Chrome extension? I don't know. Do you?
Well, but we're running through this in everything. I mean, we tried to do a click list for Kroger.
Right.
And thinking that, it was still because we've never actually click listed. We were like, we knew it was there. We've had friends that work for the program. You know, we got the concept. It was just like, we'd rather personally shop. And, you know, pre all this happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so we finally get to the point of, well, maybe we should. And it's like, yeah, at about the same friggin' moment, everyone else thought that.
That, but you know, some things that we just never did. I've always personal shopped. You know, I like choosing my cuts of meat, that type of thing. But when they're just selling the same meat that they get in from their distributor in the same shipping bag on the shelf, it's like, why bother? Why am I going through this trouble? And then the hamburger and the steaks and all that come in the vacuum seal bags.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's straight from the warehouse. Like the meat department ain't even processing it.
Well, I don't even have a problem with that. I mean, because the idea is supposed to be the convenience.
Mm-hmm.
Like you sit there, you go through, you've planned out, you've got your meal list ready, you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And literally, instead of spending an hour or 45 minutes or whatever it takes you to grocery shop, you just pull up, give me my stuff, pay, and go.
Mm-hmm.
With the caveat of if you can't get something, you may have thrown your entire, wrench into your entire meal plan.
Right.
Plus, not necessarily being able to pick what you're getting.
Right.
Now, I know that ClickList is, or some stores specifically, Kroger and its ClickList have tried really, really hard to hire people that understand grocery shopping. Like, if you wouldn't take it home to your family, don't put it in the ClickList bag.
Right.
Or the bin, or, because they've got the big rolly cart and it's actually a bin. But, yeah, don't put it in the ClickList setup.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that, and I appreciate that. But then again, I don't know that everyone understands that. Because we still have grocery people that can't understand canned foods and bread don't go in the same bag. Like, what is wrong with you? But
that aside, we have decided to try ClickList this week. We're going to be going with Kroger's ClickList because I'm not supporting Walmart's. Like, point blank, we're done.
Yeah.
With Walmart company in general. And believe me, I've been a big supporter of them for a while for the small communities.
Mm-hmm.
But what they've done is just ridiculous. Hi, Gwen, honey. Welcome to the table. Grab your coffee, set on in.
Yeah.
You can have anything you want in it. Some people like a little bit of Irish coffee or Italian coffee. Just depends on how strong it is.
Please. I had a teacher in high school. We were all certain that thermos was just straight vodka.
No, I'm sure they put a cup of coffee in there, honey, to keep the color.
Oh, God, no. That was a fun teacher, though.
Yeah. So, I'm sure we're picking up Saturday? Yeah, we're picking up Saturday. So next Tuesday, you'll hear our review on the ClickList.
Yeah.
If you haven't tried it, which I think everyone is trying ClickList. But, some other services that are kind of cool that we're going to be switching to since we're leaving Walmart is Amazon is giving major discounts on things like dog food, cat food, the things that I was like, oh, we have to keep going to Walmart's because this is the only place we can get this stuff. No,
it isn't.
No, it isn't.
No, and we had actually talked about doing Pantry before. The Amazon version of a ClickList is Pantry.
Mm-hmm.
And we had talked about doing that. And it was just kind of getting to that right spot where we could.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that we had talked about it, and then we kind of got to looking at our habits, and because we were on the road so much, it was just kind of a do we really want to do this? Because I think we're going to end up throwing a lot of stuff away. We were having a little fear there. Plus, we've also been a little concerned with the fact that Amazon Pantry has gone through a bit of a scandal, because there are or there were, at least, third-party sellers that were pulling stuff out of the trash and clean up the package and put it back into circulation. And Amazon wasn't doing a phenomenal job at kind of making sure that didn't get to consumers.
Right.
So we had consumers getting sick. We had consumers getting really bad product. Hey, Justin. But yeah.
Yeah.
So Rowan Temple of Light, Gwen. Rowan Temple of Light, they're having a tea time Tuesday. And, banana tea. Ooh, that sounds good. Why does that sound so good?
I don't know, honey. You at times, go through your tea moments. I've finally gotten you to realize that chamomile tea has to set for 12 minutes, but.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing with that is, and what I will be doing is making sure that I'm buying from the company, i.e., we feed the cats Meow Mix. Meow Mix is on there. We're ordering from Meow Mix.
Well, but the unfortunate side of it is sometimes it can be very, very hard to differentiate. Because Amazon does not stock a lot of the product. Like there's a base component that they do purchase in bulk, and then there are more specific items that are only available as third party.
Right.
Though I will say that in the wake of all of this, Amazon's taken a really hardline approach, especially with price gouging. And I would hope that they've also, considering the number of people now ordering and the fact they're having to wait list new pantry customers, that they're taking a hard line on, if you screw this up and you make people sick one time, you're gone, permanently gone.
Right. And I think that that's really good. But no, I think that this is a great time.
Oh, sorry. She gave the recipe. It's boil a banana 10 to 15 minutes, strain, add cinnamon. Okay, now I want fried bananas.
You'll have to wait. They're not on the click list. You can get that in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And that was something that was a problem for us. Is, for right now, the click list is a week out. It was 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, a week, because we were ordering on a Friday night, and it wasn't going to be available Saturday the next day, but Saturday a week later.
Right.
So, yeah, that was simply because it took 5 minutes to get the payment in.
Yeah.
Because we had to go grab a card and get ready to pay, and in that 5 minutes, that slot filled.
Yeah.
And boom, you're done. Now you're taking the next one. And I find that amazing. I cannot imagine what that has been like as an adjustment for ClickList employees.
Well, what I can't imagine is what it's like for people that were using it before us.
Yeah, I'd say that's had to be a big adjustment for them as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were planning a few days in advance. I don't imagine they were planning a week or more.
Right. Like this Friday, when we pick up this Friday, the day before we pick up our order, we're going to be click listing our next order.
Right. And trying to keep it ahead.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of wow.
Right.
I mean, point blank, it's just kind of wow at this point.
Well, Gwen works for Instacart. It worked for Instacart. What was their average lead time on Instacart? Was it a week? Or was it just a day or so? We'll wait for her to comment on that.
Oh, yeah. I can't imagine that was more than a day.
Right.
Before. I would say at this point, it's probably insane.
Yeah, they've probably stopped the click list till it empties out.
The Instacart?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, possibly.
Yeah.
because I'd say they've also had angry consumers that clicked thinking they were going to get their stuff tomorrow and then suddenly realized that no, you're not going to see that for a while.
Yeah,
like
well,
no one's available.
Amazon. You were telling me earlier that some weird stuff is clicking up for subscription.
Do what now?
Like
yes. Oh, same day on Instacart. So yeah, but no. What I have noticed, it's kind of cute. Not really, and I don't know how Amazon's going to react. I think it may get ugly. But I noticed, because I did finally break down and buy a new phone. I've been 2.5 years on this one, and it's finally hit its max. I max out phones. I don't kill them. I just max them out. But no. So in doing the search through the phones and phone accessories and stuff like that, no, there's random stuff now that's popping up as a subscribe and save. And I'm sitting here going, why would I subscribe and save to that? Like Galaxy Buds, like Samsung Galaxy Buds, the wireless earpieces. Why would I subscribe to those? And why would anyone subscribe to those? And I'm realizing that part of this is vendors or third-party sellers on Amazon Marketplace are realizing that with products being delayed, if they can move them over to more of a pantry setting, then they are prioritized to go out. Because right now Amazon is prioritizing pantry items and food and things that people are buying, that are essentials.
Right.
Oh, still ongoing, and some stores are doing it now.
Yeah, stores are joining in and adding themselves to Instacart, which is awesome. And we may move to that for some other things, but no, like we've discussed tonight, the dog food, the cat food, the stuff I buy routinely, like every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to put that onto Amazon Ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if for no other reason than we were already looking at the fact that, like, after I had my surgery, is there for a while I could not buy dog food.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's above my weight limit. Like I got to lift 10 pounds after surgery, and that's 2 bags of flour. Is what that is.
Yeah.
Dog food weighs substantially more.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, that's 35-pound bags, isn't it? That we usually get 33.
Yeah, they're 33 unless you get a bonus pack that has some extra in it.
No, I think we just got cheated and they started selling 33-pound packs and then called the regular 35 pounds of bonus.
Uh-huh.
That's what that's called.
But no, I'm perfectly happy with, moving to this. But these are one of the lifestyle changes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That can be a definite problem when you Google and commercials show up everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and that's been happening. Like I've been searching for phones and now I cannot get anything but phones in my search results.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, it's kind of nice while I'm still looking at like various things related to the phone, but I know there's going to come a point in which it's like, no, this is really annoying now. Like, please stop. Because I was on an ad-heavy page or a Google AdSense heavy page the other day, or it may have been last night even, and it was just wall-to-wall phone ads, like phones, phone accessories, phone cases, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that's just, it gets crazy.
It does.
Part of me likes ad blockers. Part of me hates them. Like, I love ad blockers for ad-intensive sites. I hate them for sites that like run one ad.
Right.
They have one rotating ad. But that's just techie me.
Right.
Like, I struggle. I flip mine on and off. Like if I know I'm doing a deep dive, I just go ahead and do it. But
Yep.
yeah, so we
Yeah.
acknowledge Ben. And so we also need to say hello to Alexandria.
Hi, Alexandria. How you doing? So tell them what all you're getting, since what is the techie phone out there now?
Alrighty, so I've really so I'm coming from a Motorola G5 Plus, which I bought October of 2017. And it has been an amazing phone. Have loved the phone. It has been great, but I'm just starting to max it out. So I start looking around for a new phone, thinking, okay, this shouldn't be so hard. I typically stick around like the $300 point, like plus or minus 50. That's my happy space.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm looking at out there right now is that unlike 2.5 years ago when I did this, there's not really much difference in 2.5 years. That when you're looking at specs for what's out there in 2020, those aren't that much better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I finally broke down and I went into a Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus because it has everything I wanted and more. So I'm getting that, and I'm getting the earbuds, and also getting the docking station. Not the Samsung official DeX, but a standard Type-C dock. So yeah, my phone will be able to do wired internet and has just as much RAM as my laptop that I'm currently on.
Uh-huh.
Like, hello. I'm like, wow. But to answer Alexandria, yes, there are actually some really good phones out there. My problem is I do a little too much on mine. For like a daily driver phone, and these are all unlocked, by the way. I'm not like doing a Verizon contract or a whoever contract. These are cash outright phones that I'm looking at around $300. And yeah, there are actually some really nice phones out there, but not exactly where I needed them to be. Basically, what you're looking at right now for $300 is about the same thing that was out there 2 years ago for $300, and that is a 64 gig of internal storage, 4 gigs on most likely a Snapdragon, somewhere between a 655 system, or I think I saw as good as a 712.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw a 712. So yeah, like it seems like phones are kind of sticking in a like that Cricket or Straight Talk, buy it at Walmart now of like $100 plus or minus 25. Then there's like this 250 to 350 band, and then good luck after that. You're immediately looking at like 700 and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
I literally saw a phone for $1,800.
Well, and she brings up a good point about them switching to Apple and renting their phone, because that's what you do. You don't get to buy Apple phones, you rent them.
And that's just Apple terms of service.
Right. But Samsung is kind of leading the way. Motorola, I'm looking forward because we have a pattern. He gets a new phone, I get his phone. My work phone becomes a
personal
phone. It just all transfers down.
Oh yeah. And Samsung, yeah, can be cheaper. Now, when you get into that Note 10 level, not so much. Ooh, they don't last long. Ooh. sometimes it can depend upon what you're getting in the Samsung line. Samsung does do like a budget phone. Not that Samsung's ever cheap, ever.
No, I think what she's talking about is they bought the Apple. They are assuming they bought the Apple phone. You need to go through the explanation that no, you didn't buy Apple.
Well, yeah, we've talked about that on Mountain Bears, but yeah, to throw that out here real quick, you never own an Apple product. You do not. You buy a license to use an Apple product if you read through their terms and conditions. And Apple decides if you have a problem, one, if it's a problem, two, if it's a repairable problem, and three, if it's a problem that someone is allowed to fix. So no, you don't own an Apple product, not at least not at current. There have been and there are a lot of ongoing fights to change that. Yeah. And some of that with Apple, though, is that it can also be the way Apple is intentionally putting out their products. Apple's been compared to a cult in terms of you are supposed to love them. You are supposed to keep buying every time they tell you there's something new to buy. And if you're not doing it, Apple has been known to do things in terms of software targeting at their phones to actually make them perform worse. Now, they did get busted for that in incorrectly displaying, they were correctly displaying battery life, but they were throttling down phones to actually make them perform worse, or the net effect was they performed worse, supposedly because battery life on a phone, which is legit, does become an issue over time. That batteries are a thing that die. And so to conserve battery and help out their users, they started throttling down their phones. So all of a sudden, your phone was working great. Maybe it didn't last all day anymore or quite as long on the battery as it used to, but it still worked great. And you didn't need to upgrade. Well, Apple decided they would help you get more longevity out of your battery life by making your phone an overglorified paperweight. So yeah.
About 6 months out after they release a new iPhone, they'll release a software update that, of course, automatically runs, and it starts making your phone crap because it's slowing down the processor. It's slowing down the VGR information. Yeah, so you don't own Apple, you rent Apple.
Yeah.
Even if you pay $1,000 for that phone, it's rented.
Personally, I think of Apple as a high class call girl. Pun intended. Like that, but that's your relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is. It's like that. I don't have a problem with their products on their face. I don't have a problem with Apple OS on its face. I do have a lot of problems, with Apple as a company and the way that they see their customers. And that they have no desire to keep you if you're not going to keep buying. Right. Especially at the price point that you're buying at. Mm-hmm. That being the key part is if we were talking about $100 phones in 2020 money, if we're talking about $100 phones, I can understand. Go buy another one. It's not that big a deal. I mean, $100 is still $100, but it's not as like most people can figure out a way to accommodate that. At least every year or two. But when you're talking about $1,000 phones, it's ridiculous.
Right. $1,000 phone better have an extended battery. It better be ready to perk my coffee, if not deliver it to me, and it better be able to locate my car keys. That's all I have to say to you about $1,000 phones. If they can't do that, you don't need a $1,000 phone.
Well, technically, that's what I got. I just didn't spend $1,000 on it. I am kind of a fan of refurbished and renewed.
Mm-hmm.
In this instance, I'm going the renewed route with Amazon for my phone, which saved a few $100.
Mm-hmm.
And the renewed is out of their customer gets package and returns it. Is where the reneweds come from.
Right.
Is at least the Amazon story.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what we get. Thankfully, there is 90 days on that I can get that replaced or get refunded. So love that part.
Right.
Because see now one of my sisters went a different direction and got a really great deal on a Samsung phone through eBay.
Mm-hmm.
And that ended horribly because it turned out that was actually a knockoff phone. And it died within a month. Like the display completely conked out. And she got caught in a lurch.
Mm-hmm.
That because it wasn't an authentic product, Samsung is like, you didn't buy it from us. We can't help you. And again, because it's an inauthentic product, her cell phone provider can't do a trade-in and give her anything on it. It was a whole list of, and then trying to go back through eBay on it.
Right.
Was a nightmare.
Well, and I don't know. I've never had problems when I've gone back through eBay. They tend to be like, yep, not a problem, done. But, you've had different experiences. Granted, my emails to eBay is normally scathing and dripping in poison. They're like, dear God, he's going to show up here in Lysol and, take us apart. But, that's the reason I don't write a lot of my, complaint communications anymore is because, they're never that nice. I have a poisoned keyboard.
Well, and I can at least go the high class bitch version of that, which is I'm not directly threatening you, but I'm giving you every intention that I am not amused.
Yeah, and I will be at your door, and we will be discussing this in person in 48 hours if you keep it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, I am also the person, if I get ticked off enough, I did in one instance manage in trying to get the MRI for my neck to have my neck surgery. I actually got a call, a health and safety check call from my insurance company because apparently the way that they read my letter, they did not see the anger as much as they thought I was threatening self-harm. And that had to do with the phrase in which I said that the options they were giving me for treatment were to go outside and shoot myself. I was making a reference to, putting down an animal as being their healthcare plan. So side note for the future, if you're trying to get angry with an insurance company, do not threaten or make that allusion in your letter. They don't appreciate that when you get a health and safety check call where you have to sit there and answer a bunch of questions.
Mm-hmm. It's better to say that you're going to go outside their office and shoot. No, don't do that.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. But, that's been some fun. And luckily within 7 months, this poor little insurance company lost its contract with the state of West Virginia, and they were no longer allowed to operate as an insurance company in the state. I wouldn't know why.
But when I got to call that, like, we got the letter in the mail, I called the same day. And like, as in, I walked from the mailbox, opened the letter, and went, well, what fresh hell is this? Open the letter, and it's telling me this, and I just immediately grabbed my phone, and I called the 800 number to make my new selection. And I said, oh, thank God we are done with these bastards.
Yep.
And that poor rep laughed her butt off.
Right.
Because apparently she had been hearing horror stories all day long. No one was sad to see that company go.
Right. Hi, Don. How are you, darling?
Yes, hello, Don. And yes, we are matching today. Well, mostly matching. He has solids. I have stripies.
Yep.
My stripies are a little hard to see. But yes, we're functionally matching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that was entertaining. So, those are some things that we are going to be changing after this. I'm wondering what else we're going to see change. I think we'll probably see a lot more work from home.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think this is also a good time that people are getting a chance to take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, that's kind of the pun not intended of COVID-19. But people are getting a chance to take a breath and reevaluate. Like, so many people have been pushed so hard for so long to work so many hours. And I think a lot of people are having to reevaluate some things.
Mm-hmm.
And go, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? How is this? Why did we ever end up here?
Right.
And that includes, I have read some articles that even the Republican Party is having to silently admit, at least to themselves, that their lovely platform and all the things they've been thinking and telling us were so important for so many years are a pile of crap.
Yeah.
That, governments are not businesses.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if you're trying to run a government like a business, you're fucking up. There's no nice way to put it. You're fucking up.
Mm-hmm.
There should be massive amounts of redundancy. There should be massive numbers of groups studying issues that may never come to pass, but we need to be ready for it. And no, I'm totally with Ben. The normal will never be the same.
Right.
I don't think it can. Not now.
Right. And, looking at just the psychic business, we were talking at the beginning of the show that we had began switching into video and switching into streaming. And that was part of, our business plan for this year. And I think we're going to stick with that. As far as the psychic business itself, we'll go back slowly to in-person appointments. But for now, no, we're going to keep a lot of phone readings, a lot of phone things. Something that we didn't plan to release until probably mid-year was the online classes.
Yeah.
And we're doing and I'm be doing those.
Oh,
yeah. In league with the other two stores, but I'm still going to be hosting online classes.
Yeah.
Definitely looking at our travel, because we travel a lot, and that may not be something we do a lot of, at least for a while.
True. Well, I mean, maybe events and stuff, but even then, I don't think we're going to be pushing that as hard.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people are going to be pushing that as hard.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've created a lot of online spaces. I know Gwen has done a lot of online spacing.
mm-hmm.
I created a lot of online spacing. That's going to continue. I'm not abandoning my online space after we're done with this.
Yeah.
And that's something that people are going to probably can get used to seeing. Possibly online rituals and hosting those. Definitely online classes, online independent things. And then I think also for me, a lot of the on-demand services that I'll offer. You're going to, we had laid off of those and was trying to push, the in-person, that type of thing. Now I think I'm going to go back to advertising them a little bit more.
Well, and I think the one thing that everyone's probably really worried about is this the end of brick and mortar?
Right.
As in, have we now permanently changed the concept of shopping?
Mm-hmm.
Because for many years, and I'm guilty of it too, even as a millennial, and I'll identify myself, I'm barely one, but I'm here. But even as a millennial, it's not that I won't online shop, but I was still for a very long time in that in between. That kind of like, I'll shop for this online, but this thing I really want to touch.
Mm-hmm.
I want to touch it. I want to feel it. I want to, I want to know, what am I buying here?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we can start to kind of, which we already have, because there's like Zappos and other things, like shoes were a big one for me. I don't know if there are other people that just are like one size and it's every brand, or if everyone else goes through this, like I'm this size in this brand, but I'm this size in this brand, but I'm this size in this brand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all the way giving things away, but it's all the way from a 10.5 to a 13, depending upon the manufacturer. I didn't know other people have that much variance. I get it with like, small, medium, large, extra large. There are designers doing their own thing with that. And I know women's fashion has been particularly hard hit by the ever-changing sizing.
Right.
That, a size 12 is not the same everywhere, anywhere, for everyone. It's a total monster. But even in men's clothing, like you would think if you're buying something that's at like a 40 whatever waist, it would be a 40 whatever waist, and it's not. That varies. Which gets me. So like clothes and shoes and things like that, I've always wanted to be an in-person, touch it, feel it, buy it. If it fits, make sure. I don't know. I think I'm moving out of that. Like really quickly. Like I'm not really feeling that anymore.
Right.
Like if you can, do the kind of Zappos thing and like let me try it on, and if it fits, that's great. I'll keep it. And if not, let me ship it back or whatever. Go drop it off somewhere. Then yeah, I'm great.
All right.
Oh wow. Yeah, see, we have been waiting for that, Alexandria. We have been waiting for that. We would love that. Oh.
Yeah, the Amazon Fresh. I'd love to have Amazon Fresh right now.
No. This is same day.
Yeah.
Like same day shipping. That's a thing that like there's only a few major cities you can actually get that in.
Mm.
And it's literally you've got to be close enough to a distribution center. Yeah, their distribution is a city over.
See, I don't get this because we have a distribution center right outside of St. Albans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why Amazon can't provide that to us. We can drive that in the same day. And Ben made a comment about, he just wants to be able to wash his hands more. Well, that's one of the things that with pagan events and a lot of events we're out in the woods, there isn't a lot of hand washing stations, but I think they're going to start installing those with the water fountains. I think that's something we will see.
But then we also have to wonder about what effect that may end up having on nature.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're talking about putting, like water, like antibacterial hand soap next to a water station, what happens when a squirrel thinks that's a feeder? Because, you know what I mean? Like that can have some massive, massive effects on the environment.
Yeah.
When you start introducing antibacterial hand soap into a natural setting. Oh, what now? Oh, they have the little minivans. Ooh. Yes. Oh, wow. 20 at one gas station in 5 minutes? Oh, my God. Oh, Don asked the big question.
Yeah, Don asked the big question, and I'm going to give it the way I see it. I think we're going to be under this shutdown probably to mid-May, if we're intelligent. After that, we're still going to see little pockets and little spikes all the way up until probably 18 months out. For two reasons. One, we've got to get herd mentality.
Herd immunity
going on. The other thing is it's probably going to take at least that long to get, even with the rapid DNA sequencing and DNA mocking of the virus, and they had that within like a week. Antibodies, but to get those produced enough, tested enough, and then sent out.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the biggest questions right now regarding the virus.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be like the immunity you get from the flu that lasts for like a couple of months? Or is it going to be like the immunity you get from other diseases?
Mm-hmm.
Because people who are getting over this, we're just now starting to see, okay, is this going to, like, after 2 months, can you get it again? After 3 months, can you get it again? 4, 5, 6. That's going to be a large part of it. Is this going to become the new flu shot?
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of every year you go get your, COVID-19 shot. Or is this going to be a, once in a lifetime, pretty much shot that with enough herd immunity that even if that starts to wear off after a few decades, there's so few people that can get it that ultimately it doesn't matter.
Right. And it's a covert virus. And, Alexandra, who I believe works in biology or some type of science, I don't want to pull too much that way, it will mutate. And it will be one of those, let's predict which mutation it's going to hit. But it can be added to it.
Okay. So, yeah, and Ben points out he is afraid of the vaccine. Care to throw in why? A lot of people have different fears on that one, so I don't want to try to lump you into any one specific group. Some of those fears are legit, that we are going to basically be lining up for a completely untested thing at this point.
All right.
And then there are others that have different views on it.
Okay.
That are more in the general sense of all vaccines. So I will wait for that to pop in.
Right.
But yeah, and so back to Alexandria though for a second. She's saying it would be added to the flu vaccine.
Right. So you'd be getting it once every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes sense. Although I think it would make more sense for it to be added to the pneumonia vaccine.
Not necessarily, because ultimately the flu vaccine's only good for a few months anyway.
Right.
Versus the pneumonia vaccine, which I think is every 5 years. Yeah, you don't do the pneumonia vaccine every year. It's only like every 5.
Okay. Well, I don't know because I don't take that one.
Yeah.
I'm picky about my vaccines.
Oh, okay. As 2 different vaccines. Yeah, pneumonia is 5. Okay, so back to Ben. He's with what the government can throw in there and why this is hyped up the way it is. Like they're wanting us to want it. Ultimately, I will go with this, is that I think there is a lot of fear surrounding vaccination in general. I think there has been a lot of fear mongering around coronavirus to support a lot of fear mongering. I'm not necessarily there with it. Do I think it's possible? Is there a possibility? Is it a plausible scenario that we do something horrible with this vaccination process? Could happen. Do I necessarily think that it's going to right now? No. I honestly think that this may be one of those times that, it's in that polio vaccination category that the devastating effects of this are so bad that we don't have the ability to play around with this and give people a reason not to take it.
Right.
The risks are kind of too high.
Right.
And yeah, cytostorms are very understudied, but a very important point in right now in terms of, help me out, overusing or using what, oh God, what is it? Vitamin C? No. What is it? Crap.
It's one of the recommended vitamins to be taking right now. And some of the I know what you're talking about. We'll have to share it.
Yeah, we've shared it once before, I think on Mountain Bears.
Right.
Is that it is vitamin C, I think, or zinc.
No,
Zinc, that's what it was. Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. Because I didn't have that in front of me, and we had that conversation, but something didn't stick. But yeah, using zinc is great to avoid getting sick. It is a horrible, horrible idea when you are sick. Right. Just because there is the risk that now you're basically telling your body to fight even harder now that it's already programmed by nature to fight really hard. So you end up in a situation where your body is doing too much all at once, making you far sicker and fight way too hard for your body to manage.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. Although, this is kind
of oh, that is new. Elderberry is the rumor, but it's not true. Okay. That I know that had been mentioned as a possibility as being effective, at least as a pre. But again, was kind of in that list of, but stop it once you're sick. Like once you're sick, screw elderberry.
Right now, a lot of what we've commonly used to battle flus,
excuse me,
ain't working. Ain't working for this disease at all, because this is not a cold or a flu. This is something a whole different beast. And that beast in general looks like nothing that we have in holistic seen. In general.
So we took that wrong. So, was that there was originally a reported connection between elderberry and cytokine storms. But now they're saying that may not be the case. And again, we're going to have a lot of evolving information and a lot of evolving, and I will say at this point, I think this has a lot to do with, an abundance of caution. In
an abundance of treating symptoms.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we treat symptoms, and these symptoms, even though they match the same, they're not the same.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
and that's a lot like with my allergies. I would be, which by the way, guys, between jumping like 30 some degrees in the past 48 hours, and the fact that we have snow outside, on top of my allergies, that's why I'm getting choked up, as my sinuses are like, what are you doing over here, dude?
Yeah.
Like, you're going from North Carolina to Alaska today? Like, what you trying for?
Yeah.
But yeah.
No. So yeah, as far as like new as holistic things, or taking this vitamin or that vitamin, I'm not standing behind any of them.
Well, right now, I think with the nature of this and not knowing what we don't know, it is probably best for everyone that once you realize you are sick or are getting sick, just stop everything.
Right.
Just stop everything. And that is not directly doctor prescribed related to what you're going through at this current time.
Right. And then even that, some of those things you want to stop. You want to stop ibuprofen. You want to stop metformin immediately.
Well, metformin's the newest one.
Right.
And that's in case there is a combination, well, because there is a combination with chloroquine and metformin and hydrochloroquine and metformin, that it increases the mortality rate unbelievably. So yeah. But no, even at that, it's what I more specifically meant was at the point in which you're sick, you need to be seeing a doctor, at least telehealth, and explaining your symptoms. And in case it is COVID-19, you need to be making having the very hard conversation of what medications to keep and which ones to ditch until you know what's going on.
Right.
Like a high blood sugar is recoverable. Metformin plus finding out that it actually is COVID-19 and you're going to end up needing chloroquine, not so easy to recover from.
Right.
Oh, wow. Hemlock poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the purple berries in your salad.
Oh, I like the purple berries in my salad.
Uh-huh.
Darn it.
Real quick, explain to those that don't know the salad joke.
Is there anyone that doesn't know the salad joke?
Yes. We're broadcasting to a whole new audience.
Well, very early on, you had made the comment that all relationship problems could be fixed with a salad. A little hemlock, a little foxglove, a little cyanide, some poppy seeds, knock that problem right out. So, yeah, we have an ongoing running joke about his salads. And the fact that I no longer eat salads anywhere but in public from reputable sources with witnesses. That's the only way I'll eat a salad.
Yeah, he won't let me go wild picking of a salad, because if he knows if I'm going wild picking of a salad, he's in trouble.
More importantly, I don't have time to sit there and go, how much of an asshole have I been? Like, I just go with it. Like, salads are what my food eats.
Yes, but something else I've seen, and it's been totally making me angry as heck as a religious leader, is these churches that continue to have their doors open for large mega services. Now, granted, it's a lot easier to broadcast the organist from the organ station, the sermon leader from their position. We get that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with using a church as a stage.
Right.
I mean, televangelists have been doing that for decades. And as long as you're not getting the whole, holy tabernacle, whatever choir, into one big giant space, all crammed shoulder to shoulder, typically in that scenario you would be fine. But no, I think it's ridiculous the number of, and I don't care if it's Christian, non-Christian, whatever it is, religious organization, denomination, whatever. If your religious leader is, still having you or still asking for you or others to meet, you're in a cult. It's cult. Jim Jones, this is where we're at. Drink the Kool-Aid. That's what you're doing. Lick a doorknob. Same difference.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well, because that's what you're doing.
Right. And we've got a few in our audience tonight that are religious leaders. None of us, I think, are going. None of us are running. All of us are doing, I'm doing desktop rituals. A lot of people are doing rituals and services online. A lot of churches have done that. And it's like, where's your value? Where's your point of view? You should be focusing on your community, focusing on how to keep them safe. Now, the majority of the elder population go to church every Sunday and Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the
home.
Well, and more so, and the very group that has had the worst response to this.
Yes.
And the group's most likely to be taking supplemental zinc, to be taking metformin, and to have tons of other underlying health conditions.
Right.
Yeah. See, like with Alexandria, I'm totally there. If you're going to church as the organist and you're doing the recording, you're in, you're out, awesome, wonderful, glorious. But yeah, it's just everyone else. It's like, oh my god, for a wedding, really? Like, oh my god, no, you're an idiot. Like, no. Like, I've heard that if it rains on your, wedding day, it's supposed to be good luck. I don't think that includes raining bodies, because that's what that's going to turn into.
Right.
Like, that's not going to go well.
And I'm going to make this statement, and it's going to sound terrible, but I'll make it. If your God can't show up at your house and you have to go to him, there's a problem. Well, you need to sit down and reevaluate who you've got going on as deity there.
Well, the bigger problem with a lot of religious organizations is it's not that God can't, do a home visit. It's that, unfortunately, the collection plate is in the big building. And that's what a lot of religious organizations, I think, worry about more.
Right. And here's the thing with that. PayPal, Venmo, what's the other one? Cash App. Honey, those collection plates can go digital faster than your credit card processor in most of them. And yes, there are credit card processors and mega churches collection plates.
And you know what? The P.O. box serviced many a televangelist.
Exactly. Which I have a major problem with televangelists to begin with. When your parishioners are eating cat food so that you can drive a damn Lincoln, there's a problem.
Well, now that's more in the Paula White vein. When you're telling people to give till it hurts and then keep giving, and when you're eating canned cat food, the Lord will bless you. No, that's the Lord blessed the preacher, and everyone else got screwed.
Mm-hmm. And, we're seeing Italy, they've canceled this stuff. England, the Queen, we shared it on our pages. She's probably getting the best community briefing on coronavirus next to Angela Merkel.
She's been doing this for 70-some years. Like, if the Queen can't pull off a televised announcement, like, go ahead and take her out back. Like, Jesus,
write a
she
book.
has more practice.
She should write a hand manual to government leaders. This is how you deal with crap.
Yeah, meanwhile, we know the number one leader that won't friggin' read it.
Maybe they put it on TV as a movie. Oh, they did put it on as a movie. That's where he's getting his tips from.
No, I don't think he's watching that one.
Yeah.
He's not watching Royals, I think is the reference. And I think the name of the show.
The Crown.
The Crown. Sorry. There we go.
The Royals is cute, but it's more focused on the understudies.
No, I think the Trump presidency is based on Game of Thrones.
I agree.
This is starting to feel like a George R.R. Martin directed presidency.
Yep. I cannot believe that he's wanting to open in less than 2 weeks. We're getting ready to go through here. You know, they're telling us don't go to the grocery store. Try to super extra limit yourself for the next 2 weeks because this is when we're supposed to get our high of this virus. And he's going, once we go through this high, we're going to open, and the governors are going to just follow in command. They have to do what I say.
Yeah. Nope. Not King
Obviously
Charlie.
didn't pass social studies. Obviously, the man did not pass social studies, even being at a military school.
Well, social studies, civics. I'm sure West Virginia's got some of those old books lying around we could mail on in. Granted, they're all missing covers and about 20 pages, but by the time West Virginia retired a school book, there wasn't nothing left.
They're still teaching out of them.
Oh no! I was hoping there was one thing that went digital.
I was one of those that got the social studies book that said that one day man will land on the moon.
Well, now I actually do remember our when I was in ninth grade science. No, not ninth. 10th grade science. 10th grade science. Had to remember. Sorry, I was in the middle of a transition for our school system. 10th grade science, we got brand new science books, and we actually had to sit there with glue sticks and glue together the section of that science book that talked about Darwinism. The county would not allow it to be taught.
That's terrible.
Yeah, but I will give credit to the fact that our teacher said, and I'm going to give you the entire class to do that. You can either glue it together and be done quickly, or you can take your time. And I just don't know what you could have possibly been doing that took an entire class period to glue together that section.
Yeah.
So we got a brand new book, and we got to read about that. Some of us did, at least, before we glued those pages together forever.
Right. And that's ridiculous.
And I found that sad. Truly, honestly sad.
Mm-hmm. But, these are the things we're dealing with. That's why I think education is not left up to the teacher. Education is left up to the parents, teachers, children. Educate your children, teach them how to write and read in cursive if they aren't being allowed to be taught in schools because, they got to get their testing scores done.
Well, there is that. But then there's also the fact that, and granted, some of it is slightly understandable when you're, even if you're a one-parent household and you're having to work, massive numbers of hours, multiple jobs, trying to raise your kids, there's a lot that gets lost there. And that has been a long-term problem with education for children. And why, single income, low income households often ends up being a poverty trap. That, your parents were stuck in poverty, so they could not give you the advantages. Therefore, when you get out into the world, you do not have advantages, and it becomes a cycle. that you can't offer that to your children, and they become stuck just as you were. You know, when parents can, they most definitely should be making every effort to work with their kids above and beyond school systems.
Right.
Because while you know, public education is meant to do many, many, many things in terms of getting the vast majority of the populace into at least a base common level of knowledge, it's not everything.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be.
Right.
Because unfortunately, that education system is always going to be stuck with, you know, the least common or the most common kids. Right. Which, not to insult anyone's child, but not everyone should be pushing for their kid to grow up to be a doctor. I understand why they do, but ultimately, we only need so many doctors and lawyers. We have an incredible need for everyone else. And if we didn't learn that in the middle of COVID-19, that everyone else are the people that actually help you on a day-to-day basis, not necessarily just in a health crisis.
Right. And, you know, I'm going to throw this out there. You know, some of my best education occurred up in an attic and not in a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, speaking of our children, if you're not monitoring what they're watching on TikTok, you might want to start. Because it is my understanding that on TikTok there's a new challenge for nutmeg drinking.
Oh, God.
We've seen these challenges. We've seen the Tide Pod challenge and the cinnamon challenge. Now we're seeing the nutmeg challenge. Here's the problem. Like, you know, the salad, you can have some very light sedative effects from Damiana, or you can go to sleep. Nutmeg is a poison in large quantities over a tablespoon. Real nutmeg, fresh nutmeg, is very much toxic. It causes neurotoxins. 2 tablespoons, drinking it, yeah, you will have some very much nervous, invariable damage. Your central nervous system will be damaged for doing this. It isn't worth the views.
Yeah. No, that's just.
And I'm sorry. I know the Ice Bucket Challenge done a lot for charities.
And that's great. And if you're doing like something that is non-harmful,
right?
Like, did anyone die from the Ice Bucket Challenge? I'm sure there's a couple people got some like scratches and maybe needed stitches because some idiot dropped the bucket. But was there someone that got like hospitalized and or died from the Ice Bucket Challenge?
No. But there will be people dying from the Nutmeg Challenge.
Yeah. Well, and I don't even go so far as to say it's what's wrong with kids. It's what's wrong with people who do this. Because this never starts as some idiot kid having a brain dead idea. Right. This starts as some at least near adult that is doing something for shock value. Right. Without realizing what they're doing, without having any idea that you could have died doing that.
Right.
That this was a horrifically bad idea.
Well, a lot of people not understanding that, yes, nutmeg goes in a full pie.
Yeah.
And a quarter of a teaspoon. It isn't going to hurt you. Mm-hmm. It's perfectly fine in that dosage.
Yeah. Well, and there are
spoons in it, and everybody's dead at the table.
Well, and basically, as it has often been pointed out, is that everything is poisonous in big enough quantity.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything will kill you in a big enough quantity. Like a glass of water, most likely not going to kill you, but you only need what, like an inch of water for a baby to die?
I think
Adults
it's
die in 2.
6.
Like if you're face down.
Oh, face down, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is it like that's it? That's all the water you need to die is just enough to cover face and mouth, or mouth and nose.
Well, and my part on this, and by the way, if anybody has any questions, go ahead, post them into chat. I will happily answer them. We no longer have to wait for, the ding to occur. But my whole thing with this is, where are the parents? If your child is doing this nutmeg challenge, then you apparently have children that are bored at houses that need cleaned.
Oh, and very valid point. And if you drink too much water, yes, you can die. That's actually a thing.
Yeah. That's why the gallon a day thing is super dangerous for some people.
Well, and I don't necessarily, while I do believe that parents have some responsibility for what their kids are doing online, that said, I'm also a firm believer that we have all snuck around behind our parents' backs and done things. And there may also be or not necessarily a cognitive realization of what this kid is getting ready to do. That it may not register for people.
Right.
And quite frankly, I didn't know nutmeg was poisonous. I really didn't. I did not know that. I like, you came in here and mixed 2 tablespoons of nutmeg and handed it to me, I'd be like, okay, what the hell is this for? And God, that's nasty. But otherwise, I'm clueless. No, seriously, I did not know. Oh, God.
Okay, Alexandria, real push from the Teacher Society. I think we need to have herbalism taught in school.
Yeah. There is that.
Yeah. It's like pure vanilla extract. All that is vodka and vanilla beans.
Yeah, that I knew.
Okay.
We can make that in our Instapot. But that's a different story.
Yeah.
I'm just afraid of you making, vanilla extract by the gallon.
Why?
I don't know. I'm just afraid of what you'll make with it. I have seen what happened when I bought you frozen food containers.
It'd just be another additive to the production business.
Uh-huh.
Of course, I want to see if there's a recipe for rose water in the Instapot.
Okay, but if I'm tripping over bottles of vanilla extract, that's it. I'm buying you the supplies to make meth.
Okay. I have probably the chemistry. I'll have to go get my college chemistry book, but I think I could probably pull that off.
No.
Not.
And Alexandria, do not help him. Like, she's being very helpful this evening. Don't help with that.
But I just, some of these things I see going on with children, I'm like, are they that bored?
To a degree, yeah.
I mean, as a kid, I didn't get time to be bored between schoolwork, private studies, prep squad, dance squad, band, and then, chores at the house and my paper route. And it's just like, oh my goodness, all the things, looking back at my schedule, during high school, I'm like, how did I get all this done?
Well, but I'm sure it's somewhere in there, in your childhood experience, someone dared you to do something stupid, and you did it.
Well, yeah.
And that's effectively what's happening here. Is because in children, you have a lack of knowledge, a lack of sophistication, and very impaired executive functioning. Like kids aren't supposed to make good decisions. Period. They're not meant to. That's not a thing. Kids are supposed to learn responsibility and good decision making. They don't come out with it. So it's not like, bam, here's your newborn who knows exactly what to do to solve this problem. That's a learning process. That's a growth.
Right.
And so the unfortunate part of this is a lot of those videos end up becoming popular with exactly the wrong age group. Are the people who don't know better, who have ability and time. They mostly involve common household items. And it's the perfect group. If you want them to go do something stupid for popularity and to be part of social culture online, this is your target. This is your audience. These are the people.
Right.
Like, and that's just that's other than trying to block that content and prevent it and move away from it as hard as we can, I don't know what else you can do, even as a parent who's constantly monitoring. Again, I had no idea nutmeg was dangerous. But how many of us as kids snorted a pixie stick?
I didn't.
Oh, come on.
There, I'm still trying to figure out what a pixie stick was.
That was that stupid little straw thing filled with like the flavored sugar shit.
Yeah, never had those.
Oh my God. You were sheltered and horribly, horribly abused. That's what that was.
I had homemade cookies and homemade cakes and homemade brownies to choose from.
Well, I'm a millennial. We grew up with learning how to appreciate crack. That's basically what it was. No, because for kids of the 80s and 90s, there was just so much sugar.
Well, I'm sure there was still so much sugar out there.
See, Ben's with me. He snorted a pixie stick.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a whole lot of sugar out there, but my household didn't buy a lot of sugar. I mean, we bought a lot of sugar, but we had a lot of homemade baked goods. I mean, Saturdays.
Raw sugar or like straight sugar for cooking, not sugary prepared food items.
Right. I mean, I mean, growing up, and we've talked about this. We didn't go out to eat a lot. We didn't, do a lot of store-bought goodies and cakes and stuff. We didn't do a lot of TV. And I think that's why I have trouble now sitting down to watch a TV show.
Well, some of it's that, but I've also noticed, and there's also a side effect, is there sometimes in conversations, I see you kind of have to, just kind of stand there. Because people are talking about things that were, in terms of people outside of the religious group you grew up in, this was a cultural experience. This was a phenomenon. This was a major, television and movies were a major part of growing up, and they form little bits of community. And it does. It gets I've seen it where someone's talking about something and you get real quiet because you don't even know what that is.
Right.
It's like, I got nothing to add to that.
Right. Or TV shows or movies, and I'm like, I have not a clue what that is. What are you The War of the Roses.
Yes.
I still have to see if that's on Netflix one evening.
I know.
And maybe I can get through it without having to, stop it and go back and watch it. Now, granted, Peter Bond is, helping me with my watching an hour and a half vlog. But, I'm one of those people, I can't just sit down and do nothing. Like, you can take a whole day and do nothing.
Well, and I kind of end up having to.
Yeah.
Just because I have to have the mental slowdown.
Right.
Because otherwise my brain just can't focus on anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm useless because all I am is like a little crack monkey running around my cage going, what the hell? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like button. Don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
So yeah, I do have to kind of go, okay, zero it out.
Right. But, but we've covered this before on this show. There's a lot of things Asen doesn't have a clue on. TV, junk food from the 90s, movies from the 90s. Sorry, ain't got nothing for you.
Yeah.
Cooking, got it down. Housekeeping, I can help you run that. Psychic information all day long. Occult information all day long. Because screen time wasn't a big thing. We had one TV in the house, and that's set in the living room, and it played the news. It played Jeopardy and Price is Right, Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, and General Hospital. And then whatever the Tuesday night movie was. And then off it went.
Yeah. Now, Disney movies from any decade you've got.
Yeah.
You know them line by line.
Yep.
But no, and then I grew up in a family, and I had the wonderful experience of and I got the reference. He didn't even register it. But yeah. But no, I grew up with older siblings because I was the shouldn't have happened baby. Like, I really legitimately was. My mom had her tubes tied. I was not supposed to occur. So by the time that they, untied themselves and I came along, I had much older siblings. I not only got the 90s experience that I should have, I ended up with a lot of the 80s experience that I shouldn't have. Like, I had a very awesome brother who took me to NC-17 stuff. I saw movies in theater as a little kid that I totally should not have seen. Not that I feel harmed for that. I don't. But I know Mom, I think, hauled off and slapped him at least once and said, "You took him to see what?"
Well, Alexandra says she grew up watching cooking and sewing shows and didn't get to see a movie until she was in her teenagers. I was 18 when I saw a movie in theater.
Oh God. Actually, the first movie I remember seeing in theater was Bambi, and that was because either my kindergarten class or my preschool class went to a showing. So that's where. He is going to bring it up. Okay, don't know how well that's showing up. There is a little line right here on my hand. That is an eraser burn, Ben. That is an eraser burn. Yes.
Okay.
But no. I saw Bambi in theater. I saw Kindergarten Cop in theater. I was way too young for that one. You better believe there were some eyebrow raising when I started making, boys have a penis and girls have a vagina references at school. There was a moment. But oh God, you look like you're about to go back to the eraser burn phenomenon. Oh, you're traumatized now, aren't you?
I'm just worried about the childhood you had. That's all I have to say.
I got dared. No one explained how to do an eraser burn so that it wouldn't leave a permanent scar. Okay. Apparently, I was really good at taking pain.
Well, we know that. You're walking around with screws and bolts in your neck.
Yeah. Abusive childhoods are great for pain tolerance.
Yeah. Now, granted, the first movie I saw was Hocus Pocus, but which was a great experience. Enjoy it. Still haven't made it to a concert yet that isn't a symphony. I've seen the symphony a number of times.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this pandemic is going to be changing our view on a lot of things. A lot of things that we do, a lot of things that we think about doing, a lot of things that we do. I mean, if we look at the other pandemics, if we look at polio or we look at the swine flu and the changes that occurred from those, it's amazing. It's really weird. I mean, up until polio, children's health wasn't a big thing. Wellness checks wasn't a big thing.
Well, and also you got to realize the time period we were coming out of, because that would have been roughly the same point in which we were looking at child labor.
Yeah.
Like, as in we were just getting to the point of child labor is a shit idea.
Right.
What the hell were we thinking? You know, so yeah, there's always room for change and adaptation. But I am curious, like, what are your thoughts? Do you think face masks are going to be like the new thing? That like, are we just going to keep them?
I think that we will. You know, and we've been seeing that in Asian cultures now forever. Like their fashion standards over there. I think that we will probably see some collections of face masks coming out this year in Paris and Milan, and I think it'll trickle down to the bargain bins.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we may see Surchoose face masks, although I do think black will probably be big. Green will be big for the millennials because of some Mortal Kombat character. Yeah, I struggled with that one. I've played like a few video games, not a lot. I'm really falling into love with Second Life.
Yeah. Which, you know, technically gamer community does not actually technically consider a game.
Really?
Yeah. It's technically in gaming terms considered a social media platform with nice graphics.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I can still say I'm not a gamer. But I think...
And that's actually been an awesome thing. 2018, no burkas. 2020, more burkas, please. Yeah, and no, there have been a lot of people that have, at least culturally in the U.S., suffered a lot for, you know, cultural requirements for headdress that are suddenly finding a lot more acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, that has kind of fallen off a little bit, that they're not getting as the flack they used to get for it.
Right.
But yeah, that's been an amazing one. Oh, wow. 1,500 masks. That is worth a clap. That is totally worth a clap. That is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
And there's Buchanan, there was an open letter of them had opened up a sewing factory that had closed down.
Yeah.
To make masks and is passing them out to anyone. But yeah, I think face masks will kind of become like our gloves. You know, it'll become a common thing. And I think we'll have a lot less stigma on having a face mask on in the US. And yeah, I do think they'll become fashionable. I also think that we may, like the social distancing may become a thing. I don't think people will be so quick to handshake anymore. I think we're going to see a lot more, what is it now, bowing or namasteing. Less of that. That just seems uncomfortable to me. That's
actually not that bad. Not that bad. And it's really fun when someone starts to do it and you figure out what they're doing and you also... And they get really excited because it's like you're the first one all day who's gotten that. It makes you feel good. It really does. But yeah, because that happened in physical therapy the other day. It was kind of cool. But no, I even myself, like I didn't embrace the face mask thing. Like even through like H1N1, SARS, all that. it's still like, okay, I think y'all are all going overboard. Like, still out. But no, even I'm starting to go, okay, I can normalize this.
Yeah.
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 I'm just wondering, what else do you think will get normalized? Like, do you think we've seen the end, because you ran into that, the end of cloth shopping bags?
No, I don't. I think we will go back to seeing that because it's still a problem. But I think that what we're going to see, however, is better caring management of them.
Okay.
Like, they're going to be like the one-for-one thing.
How do you mean?
Meaning, like, you bring in a cloth bag, you trade it in like the milk jug, you get a new cloth bag.
I don't know. I was thinking maybe we would end up seeing like reusable clear plastic.
Possibly. I don't know. I think we will see more free. We'll see the same freedom. I just don't know if people will be taking advantage of it. Because Alexander said less freedom and going out.
Pants, no more pants.
No, I think we're going to still see that. I think that we're still going to see a large revolution in clothing materials. I think that we're going to see probably within the next year, we're going to see a lot more normalcy of having a home office. Like, everyone's always shocked when they come to the house and they see that there are, 3/4 of my house is a home office.
Well, yeah, most of the house is built for officing. Like it's almost like we've got a house in the middle of an office.
Right.
Realistically.
Right. And here's the thing with the rubber gloves. I think that we're going to start seeing a return, however, to the 50s gloves or the 40s gloves, which was a direct revolution from the Black Plague.
Ooh, coronavirus-resistant clothing. That could get interesting.
Yeah.
And that does bring up a question that I had like briefly flipped through my head. Is I know that they started making like antimicrobial clothing for athletes to avoid sweat-based problems.
Right.
And I know there were the reports that, basically fabric could hold coronavirus, at least until it's washed. And that's been one thing that popped in my head, and I got distracted, I guess, forgot to research, was would the antimicrobial clothing have any effect on that?
Like
in terms of, do what now?
Like the breathing clothing?
Not the breathing clothing. It's actual fabric that is coated in antimicrobial chemicals.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know if that helps any, though, if that's a thing.
Right. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know where that's going to be headed to because I have not a clue on that one.
Yeah, it's very big with athletes.
Right.
In terms of like runners and underwear.
Right.
Well, yeah, it's about the weave of the fabric. I get that. But it also, for the antimicrobial, though, is all of that fabric is basically doused in it. Like, it's an ingrained part of the fabric.
Right.
And it's supposed to inhibit things. Okay, is only bacterial. Only bacterial. Does nothing for viruses. Got it.
But, I think those are going to be interesting developments. I'm really looking forward to the return of the study and return of the ladies' morning rooms to house designs.
I'm confused. Help me out there.
The home office is becoming more of a staple.
Uh-huh.
Less more study.
Well, that's actually already been a thing with the housing market.
Mm-hmm.
The number of two-person, like say a two-person couple looking for at least a 3-bedroom house.
Right.
More if they have children, with the intent of the intentional home offices, individual home office.
Right.
Yeah, that's actually already been a thing because, especially in like LA, where or California in general, where YouTube is such a common home business.
Right. You know, and that's something I'm going to be looking into seeing if they. But however, if they return to the morning room and the study, not this is a third bedroom that we're going to use as an office. To have a dedicated space that is built into the design, because like a lot of problems that run into and we ran into in this house is if we turn when my office was your bedroom, I couldn't be blasting music at 2 a.m. It would wake up whoever was in the master bedroom.
Yeah. Well, and it does always, that is very true. Though, then again, you also run into a lot of home offices that do soundproofing as well as acoustics engineering, especially if you're doing online production or voice work or music work.
And price in that fabric, that building fabric, the black foamy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see a massive price drop in that.
Okay.
Because it's going
to be demand. Yeah.
I think that we'll see a drop in that. I think we'll see a lot easier. In 3 months, it'll be easier to get a desk phone that has a USB port to it. Not a USB. A desk phone that is Bluetoothed. And a lot of more consumer-based products that we don't have to buy from a business-based situation.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile, I just find it interesting is looking back on sci-fi and what the future was supposed to be like. One of the big themes over many decades was the video phone and the flying car. Still not there in flying car. People finally realized that was a horrible idea, as most people can't drive, in 2 dimensions. God help them in 3. So, maybe not needing a pilot's license to drive was probably wasn't a well thought out plan. But it looks like, we, even with a few years back when FaceTime became a thing, and video chat was becoming a lot more normal. I don't know that we really. It's always been considered a poor substitute for face-to-face time or like actual physical space time. And I kind of wonder if maybe that will also be a thing that gets kind of lost in this, is that we will get rid of that cheapening, so to speak, of video to video.
Well, I agree, and I think video to video may be more of a thing. I mean, we've offered it for a number of years now, and I think I've maybe had 2 people order video readings. In the whole time we've offered it, they're more interested in phone, and they're really interested in face-to-face. And it's like, I don't care how you reach me, the reading's the same. Chat's a little slower in responses. But, looking at the demographics, I think video is going to be more of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think that, especially for families that, aren't used to being at a distance, it's going to be more of a thing. I'm looking for Amazon to expand its Alexa sets. They're already expanding their Wi-Fi set. There's an Eco something or another that taps into the Alexa that expands Wi-Fi. And I look for people to, may go back to that, we'll eat at home. Like, I think that a lot of people have really enjoyed finding this family time and eating at home. Love it. I think that the educators that have adapted and embraced the teaching model of online classes, I think that if they continue to offer that afterwards, that we will probably see a reduction in dropouts.
Well, and also I think that we are in this kind of having an opportunity for students to go with the ultimate IEP, the individualized education plan, that in addition to their schoolwork, and the opening up of so many educational platforms that are a lot more than just K-12 education. I'm wondering how many students are taking advantage of that to get more advanced, or to go in a totally, like, if they were still stuck in a classroom situation, and this is the course curriculum you need to follow to get your graduational credits. I wonder if there are students that are also like adding additional stuff to that.
Right. And being able to do additional stuff.
Yeah.
You know, especially if they're like strong in math and science, but suck at English. So they may be, you know, doing their 9th grade English, but they're doing pre-college science, pre-college math. I think that would be wonderful for students, because part of the reason a lot of students drop out is they're too dang at genius level on some things, and they're just bored to death. And then that creates a problem.
Well, there can be boredom issues as well as bullying to contend with. Is not everyone goes to school and has a nice day at school. A lot of people go to school and have a very, very, very bad day at school.
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with that age group is kind of monsters.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a sense of all children are monsters. I don't mean it that way. I mean that with that underdeveloped social abilities and raging hormones, you have an opportunity there for people to kind of, so to speak, see the worst in people. You know, not everyone's high school self is all that great.
Right. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens over the next 5 years. And that's where I think we're going to fully the effect, is for 5 years before we really catch every bit of everything that's gone on. Now, some announcements before we wrap up. I will be hosting on April 25th from 1 to 5 a beginner's astrology class that will be online. And I think going forward, there'll be at least one class a month that I do online. You can check either my Facebook page. You can check Earth Magic's Facebook page for a link to take care and sign up for that class. And Chris Lotus will have a link up for that. I am hosting phone appointments and video appointments, and those will be continual. Feel free to book those through Facebook. We no longer have live phone access at the house. You have to go through Facebook to book. We've been making that move for a while now. And I normally take appointments between 1 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Saturday. We will be back on Tuesday over on Mountain Bear. So if you guys enjoyed the show, feel free to tune in then. And who knows what we'll be talking about then. Friday for Mountain Bears, Tuesday for Psychic Coffee Shop. Today's right. Tuesday. And we'll be back next Tuesday for the Psychic Coffee Shop. Other than that, we hope you guys are staying safe, stay home, especially for this next 2 weeks. Let's get this past us so that it can be a footnote in our history and we can move forward. Techie Joe, any other recommendations before we head out? Yeah, stop playing COVID-19 online games. Stop giving out your parents' middle names. Stop giving out your date of birth. I know your stripper name is fun to learn, but please, please, please stop doing that. And if you're not sure why, Mountain Bears has the answer for you. Yep. So until then, good night, y'all. Have fun. Good night.